Wrestling Underground Podcast. I am your host, as always, Chad Portal. Joining me is the glorious one himself, Marcus Green. Marcus, welcome back. We are on a different day. Maybe momentarily, maybe indefinitely, depending on how things shake out. We just finished up with the Making an Impact podcast. If you are listening to us on YouTube, it was already uploaded. If you're listening to us on Twitch, welcome back. Marcus, I'll ask you how you're doing, but we've been talking for over an hour. I know how you're doing. But how you doing?
Doing good. The marathon continues.
Yeah, buddy. It's weird. We're talking about Samoa Joe, Daniel Bryan, and CM Punk all on the same night. It's Ring of Honor's a holy trinity right there.
Yeah.
Oof. It's a show. It is a show. Okay, so got that tweeted out. Okay, so we alluded to this on the other side of things, but we got some late breaking news from from I'm not gonna tell them. Sean Ross Sapp. Trying to be an adult here. Just trying to be an adult. He tweeted out that WWE sources have indicated that Marc Carano is out of the WWE. He goes on to say that he's reached out to the WWE for confirmation on this, and then he does follow up by saying he's had someone in the company say that they wouldn't be surprised if Carano has not officially been fired, but instead has been stripped of all of his duties. Marc Carano is one of the biggest pieces of shit in wrestling history. No one has anything good to say about him. Are you at all shocked, surprised, or saddened to hear about Mr. Carano's potential firing / demotion? Any thoughts, Marcus?
Oh yeah, cut out.
Sorry.
What was that?
Thoughts on Carano being possibly fired?
Oh man, it's interesting, man. Like we're talking about Marc Carano. That's I mean, he's such a staple. Like, I feel like he's almost been there as long as Dunn. But I mean, Dunn goes back to what, Vince's dad, something like that. So, um, I mean, I feel like it's kind of time. But I mean, ultimately, no matter how many times you change out those chess pieces, the one not moving is the one that needs to be moved most. So, but it will be interesting to get some new blood in there because I always saw him when I was killing my brain cells watching Total Divas, how you kind of would be the middleman to the middleman. But yeah, I mean, it's intriguing. I mean, but I guess it's time. I mean, how many years you got with the company? I feel like you got tenure at this point. So
It's been a while. Been around for a while. That's definitely for sure. By the by, George Iceman has apparently revealed that a former dead wrestler or dead character from Impact will be apparently returning. I don't know, man. Like, I think this is Mickey James, but who knows?
all right.
This is some nonsense. All right, first story of the night that we're going to get to in earnest, Samoa Joe and Mickey James and a whole slew of people have been let go from their jobs. Some of them I don't think are going to have a hard time at all finding new work. Let's be honest about that. Others, I honestly don't know if they're going to find a job at all in the wrestling industry. Two names that have been kind of popping up are Samoa Joe and Peyton Royce, who are names that may end up in Impact, quite possibly. Talking to Dave Penzer, Scott got more open about this and said, well, I mean, the one thing is I'm kind of curious about the fact that people seem to be shocked that this happened. If you look at it historically, this is exactly what happens. They do WrestleMania. They get through that, and then they make some adjustments to their talent roster. But certainly, as I was sitting and working away from my patio table, since we're all in pretty much work-at-home situation these days, my phone started lighting up. I looked at I looked some up, and there's definitely some talent that I could see gracing an Impact ring. Damore goes on to say, it's always unfortunate when any talent is let go. Let's see. So that's kind of where we're at. I know that of all the ones that are been released, I would definitely like to see Billie Kay. She's I'm sorry, Peyton Royce. She's all kinds of sexy. Yeah, I have no problem with that. Samoa Joe, obviously, even though I think Samoa Joe is well past his prime and physically has just been beat to hell, he's significantly overweight, especially from where he was 16 years ago. He's probably added another 60 or 70 pounds. I would definitely try to lose weight if I was Joe, if I wanted to prolong my career, because his knees are shot to shit. But I still think there's some value there, even though it's not as a main eventer or as a main event talent. He'll obviously main event. He's got named by. I mean, shit, if Eric Young's main eventing, fucking Samoa Joe will main event. But I don't know if Samoa Joe is as good as he was 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. But I could still see him having a run. Mojo Raleigh was also released. I have always been a big Mojo Raleigh fan. I don't know why. I always felt like he was a guy who could definitely get over if you used him properly. And WWE doesn't know how to use a fork properly, let alone a talent. So obviously, here we are. The one that really kind of perplexed me that people were upset about, Marcus, was Billie Kay. They're like, oh my God, she's finally finding her groove. And I'm like, what? She was maybe one of the worst wrestlers on the roster. Like, yeah, okay, you like her, but like, damn, like this is not a company that uses talent anymore, especially ones that aren't athletic and are quote unquote silly. Like every silly character has been released. So like, why are we shocked that Billie Kay was? Like, you guys are overreacting on that one dramatically. So, what do you think of the releases, though? Who do you want to see go where, and overall thoughts on the situation? Did I cut out again, Marcus?
momentarily. But
So do you see anyone you want to see go somewhere specific?
I mean, for me, just on a bias thing, probably see Joe go back to Impact. I mean, it's been great for Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to him having his 1,000 match. That was cool. And then bringing in, Chris Harris, which I know is always a good thing for you. Um, Even if you had to run into apparently Callahan. No, that was EY with that, but yeah, that was short lived, unfortunately. But it's been cool to see everything going on with Storm. I feel like he's been kind of revitalized. So Joe, I've never really Kay and Royce, man. I don't know. Like obviously, I think one had a little bit more potential than the other one. They've just never really done anything for me um, in that regard. And I guess are we lumping James in there as well?
I think James will more than
Uh,
likely go to NWA to reunite with her dickish husband.
oh yeah, we're gonna get to him, but yeah, it'd be real cool to see Joe. Joe either go to ROH or Impact.
I'd be down for either or. Um, so let's move on real fast to the next topic. MLW just signed a new deal with Vice Television. Vice has been doing those Dark Side of the Rings, and apparently the Dark Side of the Ring show will open for MLW. I think they said in May when they start premiering on the network. They're doing things a little dramatically. They're still on BN. They're still on Pluto TV. They're still on YouTube. They're going to be on Vice, and I think they're on another outlet as well. They're doing things a bit differently than WWE has one television deal. MLW has like 9, and they're building up to Hammerstone versus Fatu, which is going to be their big summer main event. Do you feel like the move to Vice, or I should say the premiere on Vice, is going to be a big deal for MLW, or do you think because of the fact that Vice is still a smaller network, that it's not really going to help them move the needle too much? I think we lost Marcus again.
That's so weird. But I don't know why I keep cutting out like that. But if it's on my end, and close some of these accursed tabs. Um, no, but you said they're doing something different.
Yeah, they're appearing on Vice TV, the same channel that is showing the Dark Side of the Ring miniseries that has become pretty popular among wrestling fans. They're going to be opening, I think, in May on Vice, and the Dark Side of the Ring series will open up for MLW in a 2-hour block of wrestling on Vice. Do you think it's a big move at landing on Vice, or do you think because of the fact that Vice is such a smaller promotion or smaller network that it really doesn't have the same kind of impact?
I know. I think it helps because I think they brought a lot of attention to the dark side. Those dark side of the rings have been some really great stuff. I mean, normally, that's one of the benefits of WWE that can't be denied. They do great promo packages. Those tributes, um, and the docu series that they do. But the stuff that Vice have been doing. Those dark side of the rings have been really some just phenomenal stuff. So I think this can this can add to it. I think the people that already kind of got their eyes on you bring this show MLW that's more grounded and gritty. And I think they can kind of boost each other, and then obviously boost Vice. I think they Vice looking at like, look, man, this wrestling content is good for business. So I think they wise to attract something like MLW, who it just has a legitimacy to it, even though it's small, and it's very much still has so much potential. It kind of reminds you of some of those old elements that made Ring of Honor a household name in a lot of ways back in the day.
Yeah, that's a solid point. Speaking of Ring of Honor, CM Punk's back in the news. Apparently, he is open to the idea with a match with Will Ospreay, but he doesn't want to get anyone's hopes up. He's just saying that if he did return, Ospreay would be the guy he would want to return against. Do you think that the needle has moved at all for CM Punk to ever actually return to wrestling with his comments about Will Ospreay?
I don't know. I mean, that's one interesting name, fun to pick of all the names, but I mean, I definitely get it from a talent perspective. Um, but at this point, it's kind of hard to just in my mind, like, okay, Punk's just talking again. You know, it's really very much on the. I'll believe it when I see it when it comes to Punk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I do. I mean, obviously, there'll be a big deal if he did come back, but I do feel like that's getting more older by the time now because everything got shut down and everything kind of turned back up, and then we're seeing a lot of people being in so many different spaces we didn't think we'd see them in. So I mean, obviously he'd always have his rapid fan base, but you know, I think he's lulling people into the whole like, okay, he's just talking. Ain't no point buying in because it's not like he needs to come back.
True.
So you know,
He
but
did get
yeah.
rave reviews for his indie horror film debut.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Punk will eventually return. Just when and where is going to be the question. If Ricky
Yeah.
Steamboat comes back in his 50s with a broken back, I think CM Punk will make at least one more match. I don't know where, I don't know when, I don't know against who. I'm just saying this is a bug that doesn't go away, and I think CM Punk just needs to find that passion again, and he might. Who knows? He very well might.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of passion, Nick Aldis has the wrong kind of passion. He's kind of rubbing people the wrong way. So Dave Marquez was doing commentary duties for NWA during their pre-COVID shutdown. But after coming back, Marquez was not invited back for some reason, even though he was a big facilitator of a lot of the product, a lot of the talent, a lot of the entertainment side of things, was because of Marquez. He's a big deal. but Billy Corgan and the NWA didn't invite him back. So Dave Marquez, about a week ago, tweeted out a photo of Nick Aldis having blocked Dave Marquez on Twitter for no reason. Typical Nick Aldis move. And Marquez kind of alluded to, well, this made what I have to do next a lot easier. Who knows what that is? This is not some storyline. Dave Marquez has nothing to do with the NWA. So there's no reason to do this, at least that I'm aware of. I think this is a sign of Aldis being kind of a dick. And I wonder if this is a sign of things to come with what's going to happen with Marquez. And is he writing a lawsuit? Is he doing a tell-all book? What's going on? It's going to be a very interesting and fascinating thing. But Marcus, are you one surprised that Aldis blocked someone for no reason, and two, do you think that Nick Aldis's kind of reputation has been sullied by the fact that he's very good friends with Bram, who's kind of a giant jackass? He defended Marty Skrull, who is kind of a gross jackass, and he kind of mistreats people and has historically mistreated people and is kind of blackballed from a lot of different companies.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's everything you said, man. It's like, obviously you're gonna side with your friends, and I get that, but um, there was we had some very in-depth discussions when it came to Skrull, and then obviously we do not exorbitantly huge fans of Bram here. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's ego tripping the whole, because he's been an NWA champion for so long, and then now I would imagine, he holds a bit of a chip on the shoulder too, because I think a lot of people would have been in his position would have kind of bailed and tried to go elsewhere, but he didn't. So maybe we having some of those ego trips at times. But Dave Marquez, again, we don't know these people from Adam, but he came off like a very pretty much docile person in that regard. So if you pulled a dickish move like that, mildly surprised, but not necessarily like thrown out. Like, oh my God, The Rock, you know, is not The Rock. That whole deal, I
Mm-hmm.
never kind of really bought in like that. So but he's kind of proven to have those kind of chip on his shoulder moments. So just I guess just another example.
I think for Marquez, he has a pretty good reputation in wrestling. Adam Pearce and Colt Cabana had their infamous, I think it was called like the Seven Stages of Hell feud from like 2008, 2009 through Marquez's promotions and productions. So it's really hard for me to see someone like Nick Aldis, who does have a pretty rough reputation, trashing someone like Marquez. Or I shouldn't say trashing, but like disrespecting Marquez for really no reason. It's a little surprising. But I do want to take a moment to also bring up another news story that we kind of glossed over. Apparently, Ethan Carter the third, EC3 Derek, I think what was it, Derek Bateman, is that his real name? I think it's Derek Bateman. Is apparently in the hospital dealing with a pretty severe infection. So, well wishes to EC3. Obviously, everyone is hoping for a recovery. Um, it's scary, man. It's a scary time that we live in. Who knows? Let's move on to the next major story, though. We got Daniel Bryan is talking about maybe leaving the WWE. I don't know about this. He talked about it before. It didn't happen. Who knows? Marcus, can you see Daniel Bryan return to his Bryan Danielson ways, go back to Ring of Honor, debut in MLW or New Japan or Impact, and actually, leave the WWE for the first time in 12 years? Could that actually happen? Marcus is currently muted. There you go.
And
Hey, welcome back.
so thanks. That's interesting.
Can you see Bryan leaving the company?
Right at this point, no, because it feels like things. I mean, obviously, he's got a second kid. He wasn't supposed to necessarily get that miracle comeback that he did, and obviously, even with this comeback, he spent a lot of it trying to elevate other names, and now it's kind of, I guess, got back into the spirit of, okay, I can really do this. This will be another opportunity for me to kind of get fired up and potentially take the title. So I don't. I think obviously he does whatever he wants, and if anybody would do it, it would be him. Um, 'Cause I feel like a lot of people didn't see that lateral move Christian made.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, but at this point, I don't. Nah, man, I don't necessarily see it. Not right now, anyway.
I'm going to stand on the other side of the topic and say, yeah, I think it's going to happen. Just where and when and how is going to be interesting because I think he's done with the company. I think he's burnt out. I think he's is very unhappy. But we'll see. All right, Marcus. Last thing, we got 8 matches from Rebellion. We're going to run through them, give our opinions. We'll start with Fire and Flava versus Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering for the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championships. Who you taking? Fire and Flava or Jordan and Rachel?
Oh man, it's tough. Um, I think I'm gonna go with Jordan and Ellering because, like I said, it's you how many times has uh Big Mama Pump find herself in this predicament. It's time to either piss or get off the pot. Either she can get it done, and obviously her and Jazz turn things up. But it's funny because last week they did an impromptu match and then they steamrolled. I'm like, where was this energy when they needed it? So. Um, but yeah, I think Rachel Ellering, both of those girls thick, hard hitting and stuff. So I think they could take out uh my girls Fire and Flavor. Who I don't want to bet against, but like you said, to your point you made earlier, they could lose those straps and not necessarily lose momentum of where those characters have been building too. So might actually make them even more annoying than they already are not having them and get knocked off. So but yeah, I gotta go with Ellering and Grace.
I too am going to go with Grace and Ellering. I think it's their time, but we'll see. Saban, Edwards, Storm, and Mac versus Violent by Design in an 8-man tag. I'm going with Violent by Design because I feel like they need the win, but I don't know. Things could go sideways. Maybe Alex Shelley's ready to return. Maybe he tips the scale. Marcus, do you got the faces or the Violent by Designs?
I'm going with the faces because VBD, uh,
Yeah, you're right. VBD.
they've been racking. Yeah, VBD man, they've been racking up number of wins on the shows and the specials. So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of time to start to level out them scales.
Trey Miguel and Sammy Callahan in the Last Man Standing. Who you taking?
Better be Trey, man. All that build. I mean, you had like a little mini Rocky-ish montage. You talking about building? He looks like he's in phenomenal shape. And the Callahan's definitely not gonna give it to him easy, but I'm going with Trey. Let's see what you got, kid.
I think I'm going to go with Trey as well. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him going forward, what title he'll go after. It will be the X division will be the heavyweight. We'll see. Cardona versus Brian Myers in a singles match. Thank God it's not a blindfold match. I'm going with Cardona. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going with Cardona here. I don't ever want to see a scenario where I'm rooting for Myers in any capacity. Another person against the guy just he does absolutely nothing for me, so I'm gonna go with Cardona.
They just need to be a tag team because, like, as a singles, I don't care. Josh Alexander versus TJP versus Ace Austin for the X Division title. I'm going with Josh Alexander to get the win. Marcus, do you concur?
I absolutely concur. It's time, man. Alexander's that guy. Page is gone. He was always the one I was more intriguing from a singular perspective in terms of the potential there. And I think you pull the trigger and let him see if he can fulfill it.
Then we got Perazzo versus Tennille Dashwood for the Impact Knockouts Championship. Who you got?
It's the Peraza world right now, the Knockouts division. All the other women are just living in it. Um, with everything she's kind of done, as much as I like, I was going to call her Emma, but as much as I like Dashwood, um, I don't think she's the chick that finally knocks Deanna off that perch. You know.
I don't think
I don't know.
Perazzo's going to lose anything until Slammiversary, and I think it's going to be to Taylor Wilde. Just my early prediction. So I too agree
Yeah.
with you. Perazzo retains. All right, tag team titles: Finn Juice v Good Brothers. Marcus, who you got?
As much as I don't like the titles being on the scourge and Finn Juice, put the nail in those boys' coffin. So they kind of go and keep focused on more duties in AEW. But yeah, Finn's our boy, so I'm going with them.
I'm gonna tip my hand with the main event by saying the Good Brothers, and there's a reason for that. Marcus, Swan, Omega, the big one, Impact title v AEW title, winner takes all. Who you picking?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I don't really, you know what, Bank? Screw it. I'm gonna roll the dice on this. I'm gonna go with Swan.
I'm
I'm
going. Go on.
expecting the hijinks. We gonna get a definitive finish, but then I went back and watched that press conference, and cocky Khan's like, oh, we're gonna have a finish. We're in AEW. We always finish, even if it's a dud like the power match. We always finish. We do always finish. Um, so we'll see, but I'm going with Swan.
He's such a goober. I am going with Omega. I've mentioned this before. I think Omega wins here, and I think he goes into Slammiversary to defend the Impact title. And I think he ends up losing to either someone like Moose or Trey Miguel. But I do think that for a short time, the club or whatever the hell they're calling themselves with the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega and Don Callis will hold all the Impact gold, which should actually be a good thing for Impact because it'll bring more eyes to the product, hopefully heading into Slammiversary, which is arguably their biggest show of the year, unless you want to count Bound for Glory. I think they're very equal, but yeah, I have Omega winning. So that's like our only difference, I think, on this entire show. So
Yeah, but
we'll see who ends up winning the this week's predictions. So Marcus, we're done. We're out of topics, and we've been on for long enough. Be sure to check out the website at realnerdcorp.com, REALNERDCORP.com to listen to all our past podcasts and check out anything else we got going on. Check us out on Twitter at NERDCORP. We're on Instagram at realnerdcorp, REALNERDCORP. Marcus can be found on Twitter at ParadoxKid, PARADOXKID.
that's me.
And you can find him on his other podcast, The True Penny Show, over on Twitter at True Penny Show, TRUEPENNYSHOW. Excuse me, you can find me on Twitter at Chad Nerdcorp, CHADNERDCORP, and on the Instagram at Chad's Photo What. For Marcus Green, I'm Chad Portal. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for giving us a chance. We'll be back next week for another edition of the Wrestling Underground podcast. Right here on twitch.tv/Wrestling Underground. Over on YouTube at youtube.com/The Wrestling Underground. Be sure to follow us and like us if you like us. And yeah, that's about it. Have a good night. And remember to watch more wrestling. Marcus, take us home.
Good night, me.